What's up? What's up, everybody? Armchair Quarterbacks here for another Week 12 recap. On this one, we have Yoron Mahomes Kid versus Cup My Team Into Pieces. That is Michelle winning with a score of 91.42 over Daniel's 75.44 points. So, congrats first, Michelle, on your second win of the season. Great to see that you're still playing players here. You haven't given up. We've got Patrick Mahomes scoring 20.82 points. For me personally, not the best I've seen from Patrick Mahomes, but you're seeing at least consistent 20 points from him, which is nice to see. And then we've also got Brandon Ayuk. So we had a Deebo Samuel game in this one, so that affected Brandon Ayuk. 2 receptions, 50 yards. He was saved by a touchdown. Then Tyler Boyd. Here we go, Sean. Here we've got another Cincy offensive wide receiver here. Tyler Boyd, 3 receptions for 23 yards. Are you dropping Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, it's up to you, man. Let's see. Yeah, Drake London, he's been looking better with Ritter lately. I mean, Mike Thomas would have been the one to drop. Looks like Justin Jefferson is trying to come back. Was it next week they're bye?
Next week they've got a bye. I think that's one of the reasons why the Vikings pretty much left him as inactive today. That way, he still has this week to recover. He's got the week 13 bye, and then he can try and come back in week 14. So I think for me, if Justin Jefferson comes back week 14, you can slot him right in and drop Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. So I mean, there's other options on the waiver wire you could pick up. Definitely a drop here.
Najee Harris starting to look pretty good here. I think it was the fantasy footballers. They called him pretty much Baby Yeti. Baby Yeti. Yeti is Derrick Henry there, but they called him Baby Henry just because as the weather gets colder, he starts to get better. Najee Harris here, 99 yards for 1 touchdown. Kind of hope he would get that 100 yards just so he could get the 100-yard bonus, but pretty decent game here overall. And he's got a pretty decent schedule going into the playoffs, so not too bad. DeAndre Swift, you talked about wanting to trade for DeAndre Swift. How'd you feel about his game this week?
He was pretty solid. I mean, they still have to play from behind. I think the one big thing is his receiving work here wasn't that good. You were really hoping for more receptions, especially the beginning of the year when I tried trading for him. I mean, he was getting a lot more in terms of receiving work.
No, I agree. I mean, he's still looking pretty efficient for his rushing work. Yeah, it's really just the receiving game here now, just wanting to get involved there, which is good for him because he didn't look very efficient when he was with Detroit at all overall. So and then we've got Evan Engram here again, staying consistent, 7.4 points, 5 receptions for 49 yards, just missing the touchdown. I think as long as Trevor Lawrence continues to improve on his play and play pretty much at the level he did this week, that's going to benefit all players, including Evan Engram. I mean, he's seen an uptick in his targets the past couple of games, so that's a good thing. Kind of an up and down schedule going into the playoffs, but you know what? It's Evan Engram. He's been consistent at the tight end position here. Then we have Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel taking a lot of receptions here, a lot of targets from Terry McLaurin. I believe he tied with Terry McLaurin in terms of usage or looks. But, Curtis Samuel was more efficient. 9 receptions for 100 yards. Again, only thing missing here is the touchdown. Then we have Taysom Hill. How do you feel about Taysom Hill, Sean?
Boom bust. So, I mean, this point with Derek Carr, he's still going to have the highest ceiling just because they basically have no one to throw it to anymore.
Yep.
Mike Thomas is out. I mean, at this certain point, you even saw Juwan Thompson come out there. So Rashid Shaheed is out. we'll see how long, how that's going. Was it a concussion or
Chris Olave
forget
had
what
the
injury it was?
concussion. Rashid Shaheed was dealing with some kind of leg or thigh injury. I mean, the Saints are beat up. Taysom Hill next week, if Rashid Shaheed doesn't go, Taysom Hill will probably get a lot more usage. And then again, we talked about Justin Jefferson. As soon as he comes back, I think you're going to slot him right in. I don't think you're going to assume that the team's going to kind of ease him into the schedule. I think they're going to use him right away. Drake London, he's actually been looking really good for the most part of the season. As long as Desmond Ridder continues to throw the ball to him, I think he can actually be played on your starting roster here. Yeah. Besides that, Deonta Foreman, I think he's droppable. Then you picked up Demario Douglas. That was a pretty decent pickup. You're just hoping for better quarterback play from the Patriots. Anything else you got to add here for Michelle's team?
Nope, you're all good on that one, man.
All right, so let's move over to Daniel's team over here. Kyler Murray looking good. He's starting to pick it up. 256 passing yards and 1 touchdown. And he also had 1 rushing attempt for 2 yards and a touchdown. So it's Kyler Murray looking like Kyler Murray, pretty much. Adam Thielen, unfortunately here, the past few weeks haven't been as great for him, especially this week, not seeing the targets that you would like. Hopefully that kind of starts to see an uptick again. Frank Reich was fired, so it's possible that the Panthers have a complete change on their offensive scheme, kind of go back to what was working for them with Adam Thielen being the main target here. Chris Olave, we talked about him. He had a really great game, although he went off. I think. Do you remember when he went out of the game? If it was at the half or if it was after the half?
No, I don't remember.
I
was out.
Yeah, either way, Chris Olave, he left the game early, but still had a pretty decent game here. 7 receptions for 114 yards. Most players this year, because of the Tua concussions last year, when they have a concussion, they miss at least 1 week. But we'll see. You never know. He could be the exception. He could play next week, but I doubt it. Saquon Barkley, how are you feeling with him the rest of the season?
I mean, last week he had 2 receiving touchdowns. So what's his name? Was it Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito, yeah.
He's looked pretty decent, but at this point, this team is garbage. So, I mean, you do what you do. You're going to start him no matter what.
Yeah, that's a rough pill to swallow there, to start Saquon Barkley, especially going up against a rough defense. He's got a pretty rough schedule going into the playoffs there. He does get the week 13 bye next week, so hopefully the Giants can game script something. I mean, they pulled off 2 wins the last 2 weeks when everybody was pretty down on them, assuming that they were going to lose. So it's up in the air right now. Tony Pollard finally having a really good game here 2 weeks in a row. This week, he had 79 rushing yards for a touchdown, and he's involved again in the passing game. 6 receptions for 24 yards. So I think as long as that continues to happen, the passing game usage, he's going to be great. He's going to finally start looking like what you expected from him. George Kittle. What do we say about George Kittle, Shawn?
Boomer bust?
That's right. Boomer bust. Yeah, not the best of games here, but at least he didn't give you a dud here. You still got 3.5 points from him. Jaylen Warren, we talked about Najee Harris looking good. Jaylen Warren looking pretty decent as well. This one was a little bit rough because Najee Harris looked really great against Cincinnati's defense, and Jaylen Warren for some reason couldn't get anything going efficiency wise. but I think they'll still continue to utilize him because they know that Jalen Warren is a really great running back. Do you think that the Jalen Warren, Najee Harris splits are still going to be 50-50, or do you think you can see it going either or direction wise to one of those players?
I think it'll still be pretty close, especially just the way Jalen Warren's been used, um, you know, on the third downs,
Mhm.
the 2-minute drill type deals.
Yeah.
I think that was something that even when Matt Canada got fired, I think that was something that they were trying to discuss was they wanted to get more players open. So surprisingly, it was really surprising when Pat Fryermuth ended up getting a lot of the receiving work.
Yeah.
Because I know they're trying to make a conscientious effort for this.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, how are you feeling with Cooper Kupp here? He's been pretty banged up. What are you doing with Cooper Kupp?
I mean,
Is he an
you
auto
gotta
start for you every week?
you gotta start him, but I mean, let's see, who do you have here?
Week
I
13,
mean,
Cleveland, 14, Baltimore, 15, Washington, week 16, New Orleans, 17, the Giants.
you could look at, who you're gonna bench him for. I mean, I would probably bench him. For sure, I would be. Let's see. You know what? If you really wanted to bench him, you could bench him for James Cook. Because James Cook's been getting splits with, even though he's been getting splits with Latavius Murray, and I don't even think we've seen Leonard Fournette yet. I think it's mainly been Latavius Murray. James Cook has been getting receiving work, so his floor has been a lot higher since Buffalo fired their offensive coordinator. It looks like they're trying to run a little bit more established to run.
Yeah, and it's worked out for them. I mean, this week James Cook had 43 rushing yards, so not the most efficient, but he did get six catches for 57 receiving yards. So it's looking pretty good there. He's been pretty efficient in terms of the passing game. So yeah, I agree. I think if you end up benching Cooper Kupp, James Cook might be the best go-to there. Now, if you're willing to risk it, I talked about Rashee Rice before in a different video. He was one of those players I picked up because he was looking like he was starting to get some good chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, for some reason, they just never utilized him the way he should have been. But now, going up against Vegas, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. I think if they continue to utilize him as more the wide receiver one like this, Rashee Rice will end up being pretty decent. Other than that, do you have any other players you'd like to talk about on on Daniel's team?
No, it looks good.
All right, so that'll be it for this week 12 recap. Again, congrats on your win, Michelle, and better luck to you next week, Daniel. But we'll catch you guys in the next one.